So after finishing The Messenger, I decided to go back into the history books and play Ninja Gaiden on the NES. And it's not a good experience.
It's not.
It's really not a good experience. But it's really weird. Like, I can see that if you had played this game upon release, if it was, the first year or two after it came out, I'm sure, like, there's a reason why this game is loved. Because actually, you can see the fundamentals of a really good game there, of a really fun game. But it's
the Messenger is taken so much inspiration.
And once I started playing, I've done the first three worlds. I'm onto the fourth world out of 6, I think, or out of 7. So I'm about halfway through the game. It took me 45 minutes, and it's just not good. It's just really not good, and that's the hardware limitation rather than the actual game not being good, because I do think like. It's got some interesting enemies. It's got a lot of variety in the enemies. In variety in the level design as well, sort of the different places you go through. It's got the cutscenes between each world, which is, like building.
The cutscenes are beautiful. Yeah. I think the cutscenes are really good.
So I can see how at the time it would have been really appreciated, loved, and respected. But unfortunately, it just controls like crap. Like, it's one of those classic NES games where if you jump facing one way, in the middle of the jump you can't turn to hit something.
You are locked. You're locked, that jump.
And there's such a big lag between a button press and it actually happening. And it's just, for me, it's unplayable. I can't. It's just winding me up trying to do it because nothing's I'm used to like games that react quickly to inputs, and unfortunately, and it's true of many NES games, it's not the golden age of gaming that people think it is. I think the only reason people love the NES is because they've got strong nostalgia for it, because the majority of the games that I've played on the Nintendo Switch Online service are awful. And I'm talking about games that I'm playing for the first time. I can still find a lot of love and a lot of enjoyment in Mega Man because I've played it a lot before. Yeah. In the Mario Brothers games, I still prefer the 16-bit versions, the All-Stars versions. But not Prince of Persia, Ninja Gaiden is just, playing it for the first time in 2020 is, unfortunately, it's not a pleasant experience. And it's nice to see so much of the Messenger in it. Like, I had no idea it was that inspired by Ninja Gaiden. I know people were talking about it, taking inspiration from Ninja Gaiden, but it really is heavily inspired.
There's a couple of tongue-in jokes from the shopkeeper about, Joe, and that's the Ninja Gaiden references.
And he even looks like him, to be honest, in the cutscenes. Yeah. So, just a little trip down sort of nostalgia lane, even though it's not nostalgia for me, because having played The Messenger, I wanted to see, where it came from and stuff like that. And there's that. I stuck on a few other games from the NES Online, and it's unfortunately, I think games that still hold up for me, or that at least are playable, I would say, from what I've played on the NES Online. Obviously, the Mario games, Mega Man, and Castlevania. I played the original Castlevania in the Castlevania collection, and while it has the same issues as Ninja Gaiden with jumping and button presses and stuff, it doesn't feel as cheap as Ninja Gaiden. I mean, there was one part in the third world where you have to jump over a gap, and on the other side of the gap there's an enemy throwing like hammers, and you can't do it. It is physically impossible, because you always get hit and then you fall down the hole, and that's it. You just keep trying and trying and trying again, and then luckily if you hit the sword at the right time or the katana at the right time, you can do it. But it took me so many attempts, and it's something that's not in games today. Like, they got rid of all that. And another thing that really wound me up was when you move one pixel to the left, like to line up a jump, the enemy just keeps reappearing. Every time you move back slightly, new enemy. So you have to jump over it. You go back to line yourself up again, the enemy appears again. And it's just constant. it's not a fun experience. Like the 3 bosses that I've done, like, I figured them out, and I managed to.
The first boss you can just mash.
Yeah, the first boss, yeah. But the third one caused me a bit of trouble. But there's a place that you can stand, so he can't really hit you. So it is that trial and error, I suppose, of classic games. And Greg says I'm wasting my time playing this, and he's probably right. But it was.
Yeah, I just want to say he is right. I finished it, but I used copious amounts of save states.
I think you have to.
And I mean, because I can understand as well, going back in the day as well, part of the kind of nostalgia is if you were any good at this, you must have put so much time into it to perfect every single jump, because those jumps needed to be pixel perfect at times, and perfecting those bosses at the end as well, getting to them first of all without getting hit, then going through that boss as well, and you just must have put so much time into it that you would have gotten good at it.
Yeah.
And because of getting good at it, I can see how you would make more of the game than it is. That final boss, Nick.
Doubt I'll get there.
If you don't have a particular skill, because you got like a sub-weapon.
If
you don't have a particular sub-weapon, it's practically impossible. And you've got to save that. He's got 2 phases. You've got to save that sub-weapon for his second phase, even though the first phase is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Well, one thing I really appreciate about this game, I don't know if it was like this in the original or not, but on the Switch Online, the NES Online, when you get game over, it doesn't kick you back to the start of the game. You go to the start of the level.
I don't think it would have in the original either. No.
So that is good because you can just keep plowing through it. And I mean, I did the first 2 worlds in a couple of attempts. I got game over a couple of times. And then the third world took me a lot longer. But I mean, 45 minutes to get up to World 4. I think that's all right for an old school NES game that I've never played before. Probably 2-3 hours to finish it, using save states and rewinds probably. But yeah. Don't like the NES, to be honest. I never had one, so I don't have the nostalgia. But I think for me, 16-bit is where it really started. And most of those games you can go back to, and they still hold up fairly well. I don't think...
And they look good.
They look good, and I don't think the same is true of the NES, unfortunately.
You just haven't played The Adventures of Bayou Billy. Have you ever played that one?
Nope.
Me and my brothers used to love that. In hindsight, it's another one of those games that's awful. It's all nostalgia, I'm afraid. It had 3 elements. It had side-scrolling beat-em-up elements. It had driving sections and first gun, light gun, kind of, you move the pointer around like Operation Wolf. Light gun sections in as well. So there's 3 games in one. And if you imagine a game that... puts 3 games in one and doesn't excel at any of them, they're all poor.
Fair enough, yeah. I will give a lot of love to Eliminator Boat Race, though. That game is fantastic. I'm nearly finished that. I think I'm on the final boss, or the last race. Give it a go, because that actually does hold up. And it doesn't look great, but it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Good music as well.
Cool, we should do that for a Pod Pals.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.